Okay, here we are in the second week, and you know, one of our parents, Ke'elepulu, Uncle Liko, he emailed me in a great panic, and he sent me some horrific photos because he had something happen that he was not expecting. He had some fruit flies flying around, so he put a little extra paper on the top, which is exactly what you should do if you got fruit flies, just to kind of make a little thicker layer. And when he looked in the bin the next time, there were some worms up on the top of the shea cloth, and they were disintegrating. They were bloody, and they were falling apart, and it was just gruesome, horrible death. Oh, a bunch of wormies came up and died in kind of horrible, awful ways, and he was quite worried what was going on. And boy, that sure brought back a memory for me. When I was first starting out, way back in 2005, I moved my big colony of about 15 pounds of worms up to Wahiwa, because I got a new place up there to do my vermicomposting operation. And we just loaded up boxes from our big bed, and we had big boxes, and we drove them up to Wahiwa, and we set them all up on bricks, on concrete in a hen house, and I watered them down really good. I went, phew, now I've moved all my worms, and we're ready to go up here, and all is fine. The next day I come in, and the entire floor was covered with slimy, disintegrating, unbelievably stinking, dead worms. All of my worms crawled out of their beds and died the same gruesome, horrible death on the floor. And I couldn't get that horrible smell of dead worm out of my nostrils for days. It was awful. Why does this happen? I have absolutely no idea, but it's happened to me not just once, but a few other times, and it happened to Uncle Liko. And it is pretty scary when it happens, and we feel really sad about it. And I have no explanation whatsoever, and no one has been able to tell me what happened. What did we do wrong? All I can think of is it's some kind of stress reaction. It's some kind of a transition shock, and something happens in the worms, and they just shut down and fall apart. I have no idea, and neither does anybody else. But we have to just accept that worms are pretty fragile, and we're going to lose a few. We're going to lose a few, and lots of times, most of the time, it's no fault of our own. Something happens. The worms individually are pretty fragile, but the colony is very resilient. Now, I thought I had lost all my worms. They were all dead on the ground. Oh, God, I was so sad. But as it turns out, there were a few eggs and a few worms left in those boxes, and I just cultivated them. And, you know, over time, I've grown hundreds, maybe even thousands of pounds of worms from those few that were left. So it's not the end of the world by any means to lose a few worms. So Uncle Liko, we're really sorry for your loss, but just wash off that dead worm, and don't worry, it's okay. And by the way, you really can't consider yourself a legal vermicomposter until you've killed a bunch of worms. Inadvertently, through no fault of your own, but it's going to happen. So, sorry, Uncle Liko, but you're a vermicomposter now. Welcome to the club.